I'm doing a live today with the founder of Ameo Life Wellness, Doug, and we're going to be talking about building foundational wellness, as well as, all things around silver, structured silver water. There we go. So let's see if Doug can hop on here. The brand has been a foundational product in mine and my family's life for the last few years. I am definitely a product of the product. So that's why I'm excited to talk with Doug about this, but not only about the products that are within the Ameo Life brand, but really something much bigger than that, just about natural healing and how if we get out of our own way, our body is innate and knows how to heal, and we don't need the pharmaceutical company to keep us alive. That there are natural remedies and things that we can do to keep our immune support system strong and healthy. Oh, here we go! Yay!
All right.
That's awesome. You gotta love technology.
No, you
never
don't.
know. You just never know. All right, Doug. So I'm happy we're here finally having this conversation together about foundational, we talked a little bit prior to deciding to do a live together, which we've been trying to do for a long time, but that we really, looking at the big picture, that building foundational health was something that we both agreed was so important, and it's not something that's really talked about. And so, yeah, I love, again, I've said I'm a product of the product, which is the reason how we connected was Ameo Life products. A girlfriend of mine, a little backstory, a girlfriend of mine, Dina, who I love dearly, she and I were, friends for over a decade in the health and wellness space. And I had gotten sick, and she said, oh, I've got to introduce you to Doug, and I've got to introduce you to this product because I think it will help support your health. And so I immediately ordered the product, got the product, and spoke to you within just a couple of days. And I was seeing profound results in myself. And, then you started explaining more and more about the different products. I tried every product line, that you guys created, even for my daughters, from acne, from you name it. And I was just so impressed that it became, your product and your brand became a staple in my health and wellness toolkit. But also I went down the rabbit hole of understanding even more. I always knew that our body was innate and could heal itself, and there's all these natural remedies that we can do in general to support that system, but I had no idea about silver. So that's kind of how we came together. But I'd love to hear a little bit about, we're going to talk about foundational wellness, but I'd love for you to explain, Doug, how you got to where you are in a kind of a brief nutshell, and an overview of what Ameo Life is, and then we can dig into how we can build a better toolbox for our health.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I got here by accident, let's say. If when I was growing up, I was a firefighter for years, but I grew up with, and this would be in the 70s, with a grandfather who was really into natural nutrition. And this is when natural nutrition was really kind of woohoo back then, and kind of reserved more for the hippies, let's say. Mm-hmm. But that's how we were raised. And I was actually really sick as a kid. And my grandfather would say to my parents, don't take him to the doctors, don't take him to the hospital. They're just going to make him sicker. And it was through herbs and natural remedies that we were able to get me healed as a young kid. And what put an end to my firefighting career is I got blown off a second-story balcony when a house exploded, and I landed on my air pack. And that put an end to my firefighting, but I stayed away from the meds, I stayed away from the painkillers, and I'm like, I got to tackle this naturally. My body's kind of smashed up, but I've got to get through that and get myself back to normal again. So I've always been one to look at what's the natural ways of wellness rather than the chemical ways of wellness, I guess is the best way to say it. And that journey's led us here to what we're doing now. And there's this massive misconception, let's say, in the supplement market. And we see, if we go onto TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, we just see a barrage of supplements that are being promoted by people. And the misconception is people think that it's these different supplements that can heal the body.
Right.
And it's actually an incorrect way of thinking about things. Is our body is the healing, treating, curing machine. What we're not doing is we're not giving our body what our body needs to heal naturally. So back to where, wrap this around back to Ameo Life is our focus as a company that makes supplements is to look at everything we do with our supplements, everything we put into our supplements, and make sure that it's coming to the human body as it was sourced from the earth. And being involved in manufacturing and supplement production as long as I have, you wouldn't believe what you see in the manufacturing side of supplements, where there's so many synthetic ingredients out there nowadays, and most people don't realize when they're going to Walmart and the health food store and they're buying a vitamin C, that's a synthetic, that's a chemical ingredient. Our human bodies were never made to absorb or digest synthetics, so they're not really doing much good for us, let's say, if any good at all. So our whole foundation and our whole focus of everything that we do is getting the natural herbs and botanicals from the earth to the human body so that the human body can do what it's designed to do, and that's heal.
Okay, God, there's so much to unpack. This is real. I'm really excited about this conversation. I guess first of all, you talk about the natural things. What is the biggest deterrent? We know that if we get out of our way, we use the kind of the natural method. From what I see out in the in the world, is that the forces that be are really trying to squash those natural remedies that have been around for centuries. So how does that, is that a challenge? Is that a challenge for your brand?
It's a
To be
challenge
able
for
to,
all of us brands. And here's what it boils down to. Patents. You can't patent a natural occurring herb, botanical, mineral. So if it's growing and it's coming from the earth naturally in its natural state, you can't patent it. So when we look at the medical side of health, right, that's a system that's driven by patents. Our food system is a system that's driven by patents. So if I take silver, for instance, because we started the conversation talking about silver. If we take silver in its natural form,
okay.
right, as it's coming from the earth, we can't patent that, right? So if we look at what controls a lot of the system and its patents, if I take the silver molecule and I change it or I add something to it and I create something that's my own with it, then I can now patent that, if that makes sense. Now I control it. So when we look at a lot of the different substances that are on the market nowadays, they're all patented. They also, a lot of them may have started as a natural botanical, but now they've been chemically altered so that they can be patented and controlled. So when you look at, a herb garden, you look at a lot of all of the things that come into, there's zinc, there's silver, there's vitamin C in its raw form of, let's say, a camu, which is a plant that comes out of Brazil. We look at those different things, like I say, we can't patent them, which means in time, people can offer those same things. So the world drives off, selectiveness patents and those kind of things so that they can control the market, they can control their products, and they can control their profits.
Okay, so then that kind of leads me to the elephant in the room is that, and you saw this certainly during that time period of our life when, in 2020, when everything hit,
Yeah.
sickness wise in our world, the powers that be were, why, well, I guess we know why, but why are they still making any natural remedy, natural product that you can take, even a single ingredient herb, or you can say castor oil. I mean, we can name the list, the laundry list. Why is there it's like a microscope of waiting to hit down the hammer for anyone that is promoting using this naturally?
Let me try and answer that as politically correctly as I can.
And I'm trying to be politically correct about it too, but it's the elephant in the room. You see this, I mean, even over on TikTok, you see.
Yeah, it's a huge elephant in the room, and there's conversations on that subject in every avenue and angle that you can think of, right? And when we look at that, let's just bucket that for a moment into the same realm as, let's say, cancer or HIV, or the illness that was big 2 years ago,
Right.
is unfortunately, that's a system of medicine and everything that's controlled by the pharmaceutical industry, right?
Right.
And us in the natural health supplement industry, we can't heal, we can't cure, we can't treat, we can't diagnose, we can't do anything, because it's all controlled by larger organizations and monitored by the FDA. So we have to be extremely cautious and careful on what we do with that, right? So I'm trying to dance around that so your video doesn't get blocked
Right,
as
and I
well.
know, and that's
And
exactly. I just
and
not want to not say something, because it's the struggle for anyone out there that is in the industry, or you just have to live under a rock to understand that these remedies, they are, also the powers that be tend almost to say, like, oh, that's, those remedies, that's those are false claims, that's not real, trying to squash the simplest of things that are
exactly.
actually healthy, right?
Exactly. So let's just take a step back for a minute, and let's forget that illness. Let's forget all illnesses. All illnesses altogether for a minute, and let's just look at our human body, right? And you and I, we've had long conversations about this, as we believe that our body is divinely created, right?
Mm-hmm.
We believe that our body is divinely created, and our world is divinely created to substantiate the wellness of our body,
Right.
right? So if we can agree and understand on that, then we can agree and understand that if we can take what the earth gives us in its rawest, purest, natural state, we know that we can take care of the human body and overcome the majority of illnesses and concerns that happen to our body, right? Because what's making our body sick and what's causing our body to be sick is a yeast, a bacteria, a fungus, a mold, a virus, right? And the unfortunate thing is we're pumping our bodies right now full of chemicals, whether it's coming in through processed foods, whether it's coming in through medicines, in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cases are chemicals. We look at a lot of the personal care products that people are putting onto their face, deodorants, makeup, shampoos, all of those kind of things are a bombardment of chemicals that are coming into our body. And as those chemicals come into our body, if they're coming in through the skin, they're making their way down to the liver, they're saturating our body with chemicals. And what that's doing is it's creating a toxic overload on our body, which is forcing our immune system to work in overdrive, and it's creating inflammatory responses, right? So we can name the illnesses whatever we want to name them, but realistically, we've got inflammatory concerns, and we've got autoimmune conditions, right? So in order for any of us to start turning the corner, let's say, on our health and wellness, step number one has to be, we need to think about every single thing that we put into and onto our body, right?
Which can be exhaustive, which
It
which
can,
is,
can be.
right, when I stopped, when I changed my diet and I started teaching health and wellness and nutrition, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, the hardest challenge for me, like, that was one huge thing, to change your diet and lifestyle. But then when I started looking at the ingredients in the products that I was putting on my body or using to clean my house, it was exhaustive and overwhelming, to say the least. And just when you think you found a clean product, then the brand will, put in something else, another ingredient. They'll take this out, but then they're adding something else. It was exhausting. It's absolutely a full-time job sometimes.
It's difficult. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to go absolutely crazy about what they do, but I think awareness is the big one, right? Because there's good, better, and bad choices for everything that we do. So does everybody need to go absolutely crazy and go and throw everything out in the cupboards and the refrigerator and everything? No, you don't need to do that. But what we do need to do is we just need to think about it, from a food standpoint, meal by meal. What could I do better? From personal care products, what could I do better? And just make it a little bit of a step by step, each day or each week or each month in making those smarter decisions, right? And then when we look at supplementation, and this is a big one, is most people will look at a health supplement, for instance, and I've got a whole bunch of them here. But let's just say when we look at a health supplement, right? And
Yeah.
this is what we see all over TikTok and we see all over Instagram and everything, is we see somebody or an image or something saying, hey, buy this product and whatever problems are going to go away. And it's got a fancy label that looks sexy, and it's got all of these claims and doctor approved and all that crap, right? And so much of that is just marketing. And people buy into that story of, hey, if I take that supplement, it's going to be great. Dr. Google says it's good, and my friends and family all love it. But nobody's just taking that extra moment to just say, and people haven't been trained on this just as much as people haven't been trained to read the labels on their foods, right? Mm-hmm. So here's just a quick little crash course on understanding if a health supplement is good. Okay. Is the first thing that anybody needs to do is actually turn that bottle over and go to the supplement facts panel. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to tell you is if the supplement brand that you're looking to purchase or use cares about you or not as one of their customers, or if they're there to make a difference in people's health. So the first section you're going to see is you're going to see the nutritional content, or I'm going to say the healing herbs, we'll call them. But right below that, we've got the other ingredients section. And I don't know if I can show it very good on my phone here, but every supplement facts panel will always have, other ingredients or, labels somewhere around that. And when you're making a health supplement, you can make it all with synthetics. So you could have vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E. All of your vitamins can either be a naturally occurring vitamin or they can be a chemical, right? Okay. So that's hard to tell from this. So when I look at the other ingredients section of a health supplement, I want to see almost nothing, first and foremost. But you wouldn't believe the amount of times that you're seeing sugar, you're seeing red 40, you're seeing all different kinds of chemicals put into supplements. And whether it's for flavor profile or, some other form that they're putting it in there, if you're seeing a whole bunch of chemicals in a health supplement, first and foremost, that's telling me it's probably a mass-produced product that's just a for-profit kind of supplement, right? But if they're putting all sorts of nefarious ingredients in the other ingredients, then there's a good chance that everything above that is going to be a chemical as well. So is that health supplement truly going to make a difference in your body? No, it's not going to make any more of a difference than the food and the crap stuff that you're putting all over your body. And I'd say just move on from that supplement and find something cleaner. So for us in the supplement arena, and I see my partner Ralph is here watching as well, our goal and what gets us up in the morning in supplement production is making sure that we're just getting those raw minerals, botanicals, herbs from the earth into, whether it's this bottle or whichever bottle we're working with, as clean as possible, without the chemicals, without the fillers, without the sugars, without the nasty ingredients, and giving the body what the body needs to be the healing, treating, curing machine.
Well, so you're saying that even on the back of the label, they can have all the vitamins that they've infused, and there is no regulation that says that whether it's synthetic or not?
Nope, not at all.
Wow.
Some companies will put, if they're doing a vitamin C, they'll put it, as a citrate or as something. Some companies will, some companies won't. But, we look at this as this one bothers me. So you see a lot of these kind of products, right? And they'll say, contains aloe. Like, this looks like a clean, healthy product. And everything that you read on here, is fragrance free, dermatologist recommended. It has oatmeal and aloe in it. Like, as a consumer seeing this on the shelf, they'd be thinking, okay, guess what? I'm making a healthy choice here for my health, right? Well, then I look over on the back side of it, and the whole ingredient deck is petroleum, alcohol, glycerin, and it's all chemicals other than two little ingredients that are actually at the very bottom, which means they're the smallest amount of ingredient in there. It's all chemicals. So there's so much deception nowadays in personal care products and supplementation, and even foods for that matter, as to what the perception of healthy is or what the perception of good for me is. And then we wonder, and it sucks because people take and use these products trusting that they're making that right decision for their wellness, to only have themselves sliding further behind in their health.
All right, so a couple of things to unpack there. First of all, what is your thought process of why brands have a lot of these ingredients that are definitely nefarious potentially to our health? Is it
Price.
profit? Is it preservation of the products for long shelf life? Is it cheap? What's the
Pricing's the big one. Cost of
okay.
manufacturing, right? Like, because you can raw good supplement ingredients are expensive to produce a product, and most of the good ingredients are coming from the United States, or actually they're coming from Europe, they're coming from Ukraine, they're coming from Germany, they're coming from France. So when you look at harvesting, you look at shipping, you look at everything that it takes to get that supplement from its original source into the bottle, it's an expensive product to produce, right? So a lot of times consumers don't want to spend that extra $2, $3, or $4 for a product, and they say it's too expensive.
Right.
But in order to do something really, really good, we do have to go with the best of the best, right? So what you're sacrificing by spending a little, or I wouldn't even call it sacrificing, but what you get by spending that extra little bit of money, as compared to like there's no way a bottle of vitamin C should be costing $5 or $6.
Sorry about it. Mabel,
That's okay.
postman.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, so that's just something always to think about, is what is it that I'm purchasing? And in a lot of cases, you're better off to take nothing than to take the chemicals that you would be putting in your body.
Yeah, very true. It's just, it reminds me of exactly the word natural. That is the most nefarious, misused blanket word to deceive us consumers. The word natural. That's this.
Natural's lost its trust.
It's
And
so sad.
And we're just going through an exercise right now where we're updating the entire Ameo Life brand and website and everything. And as we've gone through our positioning and everything that we're doing on the back end to put this together, our CMO has basically said, and she's been in the industry for many, many years, she says, we're not putting the word natural anywhere on any of our labels of our product pages or anything. You'll see it there right now, but as we go forward, because the unfortunate thing is natural has lost its place in trust with the consumers, because you see natural, you go to McDonald's and they'll put something natural on their hamburger. Well, people have just lost the trust in the word natural, and it's just been overused, and it's been used, in so many of the wrong ways.
So then, what key factors do you use to evaluate, like transparency? How can a brand, we'll use Ameo Life as an example. What is your mode of being transparent to your customers? What's the mission? Like, how do you get that across to them so that the consumers can know, and trust the products that you create?
So the two things that I've done on Ameo Life is, the first thing is I put our third-party lab reports on all of our product pages.
So explain what that is. Let's unpack what that means for people that don't know what her third party
For
means.
sure. So this is just law that you have to do this, as far as doing it. So whenever a product is produced, when the ingredients come into a production facility to make the product, they need to be quarantined and they need to be tested. And they're being tested for heavy metals, and they're being tested to make sure that it is the ingredient that says it's going to be as per the specs. So then once that's cleared through its initial testing, then you produce the product. And then at the end of it, you do an internal test, and you'll do a third-party lab test, which is basically sending every batch of product you make to a third-party facility within the specifications that you say that product's going to be, and you're testing for heavy metals and coliforms and everything to make sure that that product is exactly as it's described on the label.
Does that happen
So,
continually? Like you're
oh yeah,
constantly sending
yeah.
products?
Every
Wow.
time you're making a batch, and it's extremely expensive to do so, but according to the FDA and the DSHEA Act, you have to do that.
Okay.
You wouldn't believe the amount of companies that don't do that. Like it's amazing the amount of products that aren't third party tested.
Okay, so then how do they get away with that? Like you're saying that it's required that you do that.
It is, but there's a lot of companies that will just live outside of the box, right? And you don't know when you're looking at a company if they, if they are participating or if they're not. I put the lab reports on all of our product pages so that, if somebody asks, I'm like, yep, there it is. So because you're asking me for the transparency side of things, right? The second thing that I do is, and I'm just trying to look for it, I'm trying to look past my phone here, but we have an ingredient section on our website. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken every single product that we produce and every single ingredient, both within the nutritional ingredients and the other ingredients, and I've got a descriptor of what that ingredient is, as well as what the EWG score, that's the environmental working score of that product, and then what its raw form was, whether it's a mineral, a herb, water, what it is. Okay. So from a transparency standpoint, other than taking every single customer through a tour of the facility that we make the product in, that's as absolute transparent as I can be as a health supplement manufacturer to tell everybody about everything that's in our product. And I haven't to date seen another supplement company that goes to that extent of trying to completely educate and inform the customer about what they're taking with the product.
Got it. So we got third-party testing. We have exaggerated claims for the brand, that they can say kind of whatever they want. Lack of evidence, I would think, is another one, especially with supplements that are spouting these big claims, and you see it a lot on social media with, as you mentioned,
the Shilajit is one that's just making me mental right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they and it's just exploding, but it's like there is nothing that those people aren't saying about what that product can do. Like, I mean, I had people, we were just at the Naturopathic Health Convention is where we saw each other in Vegas a couple weeks ago. And I had all of these doctors and these practitioners coming up to me and they're like, do you have Shilajit? Do you have Shilajit? And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, it cures airline sickness, or it helps with feminine problems, or it gives me mental clarity, or it give me a testosterone boost. And I'm like, like, and I see it all over TikTok all the time. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. Like, I mean, at some point, the FDA is going to have an absolute field day on Shilajit, because that's what they'll do is they'll watch something for a while and then they'll say no more of that. And the problem is so here's just another sort of, this is educational point, is when we look at Shilajit and what Shilajit is. Shilajit is rare earth plant life, right, or ancient plant life. And the bulk of it is coming from the mountains of Nepal. Okay. And what it is this ancient plant life that's being compressed by the rocks, and it's spitting out this tar-like substance. And essentially it's trace minerals, from that ancient plant life, but they're taking that and they're not putting it through any kind of refinement process, and they're putting in these jars and selling it. But Shilajit in its natural state is full of heavy metals. It's full of big particles. And if you take that Shilajit and you pour it in, or stick that paste in water and stir it up, it actually won't break down. It'll stay hard. It's like trying to stir butter into a cold water. We want that to break down. We want it to become bioavailable. So on the other side of the coin, you've got the humic fulvic side of things, which is rare earth plant life that is harvested, but it is then put through a process that gets the minerals small, extracts the heavy metals, but still produces the same essential nutrients and minerals as the Shilajit, if not more. but we're not getting into the heavy metals. We're not getting into that thick black tar paste. But plus, we're not making, just outrageous, onerous claims of what it can do. And it comes back to what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation. If we can get the body what the body needs naturally, the body will heal itself, right? And all of us, every single one of us, including everybody watching this call, are suffering from a nutrient deficiency and a mineral deficiency. So that's the first thing that we go after, is getting the body its nutrients that it's missing and not getting from our foods anymore.
Okay, so we're gonna move
A
along.
lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. So I have a very robust health and wellness routine, and I take a lot of supplements, and I went from being someone who almost took like none, who was kind of anti-supplements other than like a B12 when I was completely plant-based, to when menopause hit, my health, everything went sideways, like tanked, memory loss, just tanked. And so I was climbing my way out of, still eating well, had to kind of change even some of the diet and started adding more supplementation. But I was doing it through blood work, and much of what I take, I have done lots of blood panels. I didn't feel like just taking things, but I have a very robust. At that being said, this, as a lay person listening to this conversation, I would think they're like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking overwhelming. How do let's bring all this bigness that we're talking about of supplements and wellness, let's make it smaller, and let's get to the root. So it kind of brings me to the foundational wellness that we're talking about. What is foundational wellness? And let's now shift gears about how we can build a beautiful, smaller, which is, I think, is good. Less is more, with thoughtfully crafted products and items to have in your household kind of toolbox, so that we are strengthening our health and wellness, especially during the sick and flu season, but just year round in general, because we've got all these products that are vying for our attention. And we don't know, like, what do we take? Do we take this? Do we take that? I feel like Ameo has done a beautiful job of, you don't have a massive product line, but you have some very well thought out product lines that I think are extraordinarily beneficial for foundational health. So I guess, first of all, what does foundational wellness mean to you, Doug?
That's
When you think of that
that's
word?
our core wellness, our microbiome support, our digestive
Okay.
support. What does it take to make our heart beat, our lungs pump, our eyes see, our ears hear, and our brain function on a daily basis?
Okay.
Because all of those are controlled by impulses, right? And we get those impulses through nutrition. So when I think of foundational wellness, I think about, what does it just take to have our body operate properly when we get out of bed in the morning and make it through the day? That's how I look at foundational wellness. And there is so much confusion in the supplement space. You go into a health food store and it's just like, where do I start? And, people will feel certain ways, or have certain illnesses and sicknesses, and they'll get on Google, or they'll start searching, and then all of a sudden they get retargeted by all these ads. And it's like, it's so overwhelming of like, I've just got the flu, what do I need to take? Not 400 different, vitamins and minerals. So the other aspect I look at foundational wellness is, what did we used to just get from our foods, right? That we don't get from our foods anymore. And that's our base vitamins and minerals, right? Like, our body needs vitamins and minerals to run on a daily basis. So we stay, from an Ameo Life standpoint, we kind of stay really laser focused and laser targeted on what does it take to have our body function properly. The essential vitamins and minerals, a really good digestive probiotic, and then we talked about silver at the beginning of this. We could have a whole conversation about silver. But if we just think about silver in its raw form, and I can talk an hour about this, but I'll make it really, really quick. Silver naturally combats yeast, bacteria, fungus, and mold, right? So when we look at a lot of the things that are wreaking havoc on the body, silver can be a really good course correction into helping the immune system, helping the digestive system, and helping the body function at its finest force. So I know there's a lot of negative press on silver,
Right.
and a lot of it is true. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the information, and if you go to Google and you type in colloidal silver and it says it can turn you blue and cause argyria and all this kind of stuff, it's actually 100% true if produced in the wrong form.
Right.
So when
So
we
that's I want to stop you. That's where I really want to take this conversation, because I know silver, this structured silver water is the first product that I started using for my health from Ameo Life, and I went down the rabbit hole of really learning, because I had no idea. All I knew was Blue Man, that taking too much is not good, and this was completely opposite, because this you could take as much, like I've downed this. You can take this, stick it up your nostrils. I mean, you swallow it, you swish it, you put it on. You got gel. You can put it on, your rash, your burn, you name it, and it's completely different. So please tell us what is structured silver water versus colloidal. And colloidal is not that it's, it has its place, but it is very, very different
it
how
is
it
it is
behaves.
so what we do is we take the smallest particle of 99.999% pure silver, and we get that under 10 nanometers, which means that you could put thousands of silver. I don't have a pen in front of me, thousands of silver molecules on this tip, right?
Okay.
Very, very small. And then what we do is we bond that silver particle to the water molecule, meaning that it can't fall out of solution. When we think of colloidal silver, we think of grandma's house. We think of grandma's silver with a jar and all these silver particles that have settled to the bottom of the glass, and you shake it up and you drink it.
Mm.
Well, we don't have that problem. We don't have a shake before usage. We don't have that problem of silver settling to the bottom of the bottle, because we've got it energetically suspended within the water molecules, which means it's a completely safe and effective product that somebody can take on a daily basis to support their immune system and to support their digestive system. One of the challenges with silver is, and I'm talking about this in the supplement market space, let's say, is you've got these at-home silver making devices that people can buy on Amazon for $10 and $20, and they'll take two little rods and put them into a water with silver rods, and energy goes back and forth, but they create very large silver particles with no energetic frequency. And are they good for health? Well, in an emergency situation, they can be good, in a peak emergency situation, but something that can be taken day after day, definitely not recommended, because what happens is over time, those large silver molecules will get stored in the fat cells and get stored in the liver, and then cause what's called argyria, which is the bluing or the graying of the skin. So when I say that a lot of that information on Google or wherever somebody wants to research that's damning silver is completely true. But what modern technology, what science and engineering has taught us is we can take the benefits of silver, and I can get into the whole periodic table of elements of what makes silver different than zinc and iron and copper and all of the different particles that people use for wellness, and why it's so effective. But first and foremost, we need to be able to deliver that to the body in an absolutely safe manner that can be used over and over again, and for multiple different usages of wellness.
Okay, so we're building our toolbox
Yep.
of wellness. We have, like I said, this is a foundational product for my daughters and my family, my friends. We love this. I'm going to say why you need this in your toolbox. How I use it, like I said, we take it several times a day. Use it like 3 times a day. I will take it. I'd like you to explain. Well, I'll tell you what I do, and you can explain it. And then also, let's say we're going to go on a flight, or we're going to be in a crowded space, taking a little of this and putting it right inside the nostrils. Um, if I'm not feeling well, I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling well, I can, pour a shot or two, or, you can, as much as you want to kind of help things move along. what's this doing in those instances to the body, and what's the kind of the time frame of, I don't want to say protection because that sounds, but that it's doing the work in the body?
So approximately 12 hours, and you want to have good hydration because you want to move it, throughout the body. It needs water to move it throughout the body. But what it's doing is it's naturally cleansing the body of a yeast, of a bacteria, of a fungus, of a mold. So when you're talking about those different things that are wreaking havoc on the body, it is one of those things that we've been subject to, right? Shaking hands, picking something up, smelling something, something getting into our eyes or our ears. So think about it as, a really, really good immune support, right? And a good digestive source. So it's going to come in and, let's say, partner with the immune system to help the body function at its highest rate. So when we get food poisoning, or we get something that's bringing us down, and especially this time of year where we start to get into the colds and flus, people take vitamin C to help boost their immune system, which is great, but it functions completely different than what silver does. In my opinion, silver is one of the absolute best immune supporters that we can use.
All right, so you could also, I said two ideas: amplifying other ingredients, other supplements, and also I forgot, styes, whatever. You've got something in your eye, you get a little bit of a burn for like 30 seconds or 15 seconds, and it's done. But this also works wonders if you've got any kind of eye issues, or again your ear issues. It's amazing. But how does it, this is something I loved hearing. How does, if silver is part of your daily health and wellness routine, how does it help amplify medication, or a supplement that you're taking? Say you're on antibiotics, or you're taking your vitamin C and your glutathione or your vitamin D. How does, or how can silver help that along with your
So
other supplements?
Harvard University did a study on silver, and that showed that silver could enhance the effectiveness of antibiotics by 1,000%. And
So you want to
that's
take that if you're taking antibiotics, you want to help boost
yeah,
that.
it's a published study. It's
Okay.
available on PubMed. It's available on the internet. So it's not just, hey, something special I got hidden in a drawer. It's a publicly facing study. There's numerous studies showing what silver can do in different health situations. Digestive concerns. You get toenail fungus, pink eye. These have all been studied and documented. But if we go back to the root cause of it, what is it? A yeast, a bacteria, a fungus, a mold. We've worked with a lot of people that have had mold issues in their homes, and they've breathed that mold in, and they're dealing with all sorts of mold issues in their bodies. And there's numerous articles out there on what using a nebulizer and using different things can do to help actually get the body through those emergency times of mold and long-term mold and yeast concerns. One of the things that you and I have talked about at great length too is feminine issues in the sensitive areas of the body. When women get yeast infections and those kind of things, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I'm not saying I know it from experience, because I don't, but I've had pretty much every conversation that you can have in regard to that. And me as a guy, when I listen to a woman talk to me about what's going on in that area of the body, and the entrapment that she feels in that area. And she's gone to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, take this, and it throws it way pH positive, and they come back to the doctor, and the doctor says, okay, we'll balance it out and take this, and it goes extremely pH negative, and the poor lady is like, I just want to feel better.
Right.
And I don't want to be a pincushion for the doctor to keep throwing me all these different directions while that life is crumbling around them, because it's harming their relationships, it's harming everything. So we've been a part of so many positive changes in women in that part of the body, using the liquid and the gel. And really, because when we look at it, we've got a yeast concern that's normally starting as a bladder concern, so we can go after what's happening in the bladder with the silver liquid, and then we can go after what's going on in the sensitive areas with the gels and the soaps, and really help the body overcome those issues. And you've heard it from your friends as well that have been had
It's
that
amazing.
area. It's like this should be the absolute number one female feminine care product, I think, for women that are being trapped in their bodies due to those issues.
Right.
You can.
You mentioned the soap, which I was using for the longest time. I still use, like, this was the first, I have to say, the Ameo, if this is it comes in different scents. I love the lavender and the almond. This is the unnatural unscented silver soap, and it was the first soap that I used that I didn't have to put on. First of all, I didn't have to put on moisturizer after my body. I remember being like, this is unbelievable. And you can use this for your face, you can use it for your body. So gentle as in your feminine area, which is, you need to make sure that pH balance is intact. It's lovely. I've given this as gifts to many friends. And then also the silver gel. I think that I love the story of silver overall, but I love for the gel, the fact that if you would unpack the idea that when you go if you get burned, what do they do? You go to the hospital, Doug. What do they
They're
use?
using silver infused bandages. Same as a newborn baby. When a newborn baby
Yeah.
is born, the first thing they do is put silver drops in their eyes to clean out everything from the birth canal. So silver's been used for thousands and thousands of years, as far as we can predate wellness, let's say. And it's interesting, like, why did they use silver cutlery? Why did they use silver serving trays, both today and through history, is because of the the antimicrobial points of what
Mhm.
silver could do. It could help food last longer. It could help milk stay fresh. So it's got a very, very rich history of what it can do, from a wellness standpoint. And now that we've been able to, let's say, advance silver into a safe and effective supplement that can be used on a daily basis, we just see countless stories of what we're able to do in so many ways of helping people.
Right. So the silver gel, which again would be if we're building our foundational wellness toolkit, we have our silver water, and I think we've explained this so many different reasons why you would want to have this product in your toolbox. And then we have the silver gel, which I keep in the kitchen. Any kind of burn, any kind of cut, we have this ready to go. It's also beautiful. When we first started using this, my daughter started using this in the beginning on her face for acne, because it's beautiful. You can put this on. It's soothing. It's also for rosacea. You get a cut. Like I get these phantom cuts. I've got one there, and I have one there. I'll wake up and I'll scratch my face or something down my nose like 3 times, and this is my go-to. The first thing I do is I open it up and I just do a little blurb, and I put on any little area, and it is like magic. So this is definitely, we have, I don't know, Neosporin, all these other things we put on. To me, this is replaces that. It's so good to have for everyday use. Like it's amazing. My question is, with the silver water, is there any contradictions to it? Is there anyone who shouldn't be taking the
No,
structured silver?
no, there's been no ever side effects or reported concerns, or because what it doesn't do is it doesn't metabolize in the body. So it doesn't go through the digestive system. So when we think of side effects and we think of um, product or supplements or anything as they go through the body, and people will have allergic reaction or some kind of effect, it's because that's going into the digestive system's breaking it down, and that's where we see a lot of those concerns. Silver doesn't pass through the digestive system. It doesn't metabolize. It doesn't put any workload on the immune system or the digestive system. In fact, it actually takes workload off the digestive and the immune system, because it's actually helping go after what's putting us into digestive distress a lot of the times. So in 20 years of producing this product, there's never been a reported side effect. The only caveat I'll give to that is if somebody has a lot of yeast buildup in their body, they may get a little Herxheimer effect, which is rapid yeast die-off. And I've had that scare people before. And it's funny is I've worked with some of the biggest health influencers that pretty much everybody would know, that's been on social media in using this product. And a lot of them, most of them do use our products. But even the healthiest of the healthiest of the healthy have come to me after taking this product for a couple days, and they're like, Doug, your product's killing me. What's going on here? I've got a rash. I've got this happening. And they're scared. They're like, this is making me sick. And I'm like, no. I said, this is great. Like, you
Getting it
got
out.
yeast filled up. It's exiting your body. And they're like, what are you talking about? I eat right. I exercise. I drink water. I do all these things. I'm a total biohacker. Like, my body should be, as it was created today. And I'm like, well, you got some yeast, buddy. And then a couple of days later, it passes, and they'll phone back, and they're like, I can't believe this. Like, I got more energy. I've got more mental clarity. My digestive system feels better. I've got this little ailment that I've never told anybody that I had that's going away. And I'm like, this is great. So not only, do we see great success with people that are really truly needing it, right? That are in some form of health crisis. But no matter how healthy somebody is we see some great things happening there as well. Because, in our bodies, right? No matter how good we try to live and how much we make the best and the right decisions for our wellness, we are constantly under bombardment, environmental bombardment, the things that we breathe, the things that we interact with. So what do we need to do? We need to absolutely make sure that we're just keeping our immune system as tip top as we possibly can.
Yeah, I was talking to back in 2000, it was maybe 2021, sometime end of 2020, when the world shut down with its sickness. And I was actually privy to talk on a call with a doctor over in Australia. And when we had a deep dive discussion on ways how he was battling this, worldwide issue. And I mentioned, that I was taking the structured silver, and he just exploded on the phone how extraordinary that was, and then goes off to tell me about some of his colleagues that are very high level in multiple countries that he mentioned that were using the silver to help combat this. Like he goes, you have the best thing you could have right now to support your health during this, worldwide crisis, which just made me. And I remember I called you. I think I called you or texted you. It just solidified what we were doing. Like here's someone across completely across the world that's saying they're using this as a part of their protocol during this. It was this extraordinary testimony.
It's right back to doing everything we can to keep our immune system as strong as we can, and letting our body, like I say, do what our body was naturally programmed to do.
Exactly.
Because our body was never programmed to be sick, right? So we just need to do everything we can to keep it as functional as
Right.
possible.
And that's not profitable. You think about it's really sad, but and I think more and more people are waking up to this. If this is news to you, I'm sorry to have to break it to you, but it's not the healthcare business, it's the sick care business. And unfortunately, big businesses around the world in various, capacities are there. They make money when we stay sick, not when we stay well. And so.
Well, if you think about that too, right? So you think about, me and my partners in a supplement business, is if you're making people better all the time, you're always on the hunt for new customers. So, that's where, when you talk about the sick care side of things, is you don't want to be looking for new customers all the time. I'd rather see people just jumping for joy in their wellness and be looking for new customers all of the time, knowing that we're making a positive impact in people's lives. And, we can take them and you wouldn't believe, and you see it, like the amount of people are taking 20, 30 supplements on a daily basis. And not that Medicaid isn't expensive, but when you start thinking about the amount of supplements that people take because they think they need to take them, of the hundreds of dollars their month that they're spending, it's like, wow, like you don't need to take that much in a form of supplementation. So when we can truly move them in that right direction of their wellness, where they can save hundreds of dollars a month, where they can reclaim control of their body again, and in many different areas. We talked about the female side of things, we talk about the immune and the digestive side, but our whole mission and focus is to help people just regain control of their wellness, regain control of their body, and have it functioning as premier as it can be.
I would say that for me, the bigger concern is, as much as that is a concern when you take too many supplements, but the bigger concern for me is those that are taking, 5, 8, 10, 20 prescriptions, and they don't get taken off. They just get put more and more on. My wish is for more of those kind of people that are realizing they're just getting a Band-Aid for more and more. Not that medication doesn't have its place. It certainly does. But that if they can step away from that mill, if you will, for a moment, and start looking at alternatives to kind of slowly wean themselves off. It's beautiful when you hear these stories of people that have been in that, that wheel of medication that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, when they can finally kind of break away from that. And they're like, God, I didn't realize that was killing me. That was killing me. And, to get back to nature. So back to building our little fun, our toolbox. We have the silver, and someone asked, what's the, if they were to start with one product, what would it be? And we haven't even gone through your suite of products, but I would say it would be the silver. Would you say that would be your product to try first, or would it be something different?
We'll break this down into buckets.
It's structured silver water, but we have we're talking about a whole lot, but this particular is a structured silver water. That's kind of like your blanket foundational health product to keep you well, to help when you're not feeling well.
For daily immune support and just keeping our body as protected as possible from all of the things that are attacking us, then the silver, for sure. For minerals and the spark plug of life, let's say, so our vitamins, our minerals, the fulvic minerals. This is becoming quickly one of my favorite products.
I take it every morning.
And the interesting thing is this will, and there's a study that shows this, that helps increase the body's natural ability to create collagen by 30%. We should do a video on collagen sometime.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do that.
I'm a big disliker of collagen. When the body produces collagen naturally, it's just as people age and they don't get enough hydration, then that collagen production slows down in the body. So we can increase collagen production, hair, skin, nails. So any of the viewers that are, looking for something that's really, really awesome in anti-aging, this is great. Like, I have to cut my fingernails almost on a weekly basis now.
Mine down too. Mine as well. Yeah.
It's crazy, and the hair health and the skin and complexion side of things. So this is an awesome product, and I have a hard time sometimes saying which one is my go-to. Both of them I love.
Got it. Yeah, I take 2 tablespoons a day, and then so tell us. So then I also take the little dropper, because they coordinate with one another. So you have the fulvic minerals.
That's the humic, which I have somewhere here as well.
Explain to us what is the difference between that and the other product, and why is that a valuable asset to your foundational health?
So if I had to pick between the two, the fulvic is my favorite.
Okay.
So what the fulvic does is it delivers all the nutrients to our cells. It helps break down and chelate our foods, which means as our food goes into our digestive system, it's going to break it down into smaller particles that can be absorbed and nourish the cells.
How long does that stay? So I take mine in the morning with my morning supplements, and I do 2 tablespoons.
You should take a shot glass twice a day.
I was taking it just in the morning.
Yeah,
okay.
No, twice a day, take a shot glass. So what that's going to do is it's going to deliver all of the nutrients into the cells.
Okay.
Then the fulvic on the carbon side of things, or the humic, sorry, is going to help detoxify and pull those toxins out of the cells and deliver them through the waste system. The fulvic will do a little bit of that, but the humic does it better.
So for me, I have basically I'll say crappy, a crappy detox system. I did a bunch of my blood work and all that, and went through my gene snips, and my functional medicine doctor said, I hate to break it to you, but you're a crappy detoxer. I have like some genes that are broken. So obviously something like taking that is extraordinarily beneficial, especially if you're someone that has a compromised detox system that likes to keep everything and not.
Correct.
You know.
So a lot of people have seen the BLK and the Mudwater products on the market. There are a couple of the big brands. They're a humic product.
Okay.
The biggest difference between us and those brands is those brands are sourcing their humates or their soil reserves from a single deposit. What we're doing is we've got a patented process where we're sourcing from multiple deposits. Because if we think about, and we're doing that with both the humic and the fulvic. If we just go back in history for a minute to where the plant life derived from, if we think back, tens or thousands or however old we want to feel the earth is, right? That's a whole other argument. But if you think about, even vegetation and plant life today, plant life in Florida is different than plant life in New York, which is different than Seattle or even in Nevada, right? So all of those different plant lives have different nutrient levels and nutrient values. So what we're doing is for our humics and our fulvics and they come together, we actually separate them out, is we're harvesting from multiple deposits so we can get a much broader spectrum bioavailable humic and fulvic mineral complex rather than just a single reserve. So we're able to see a lot broader. It's completely vegetarian and vegan. We don't put any of those compounds in our products that would differentiate from that.
And then also Doug, that she mentioned, because I have Barbara, she'd like to know, are these things okay with MTHFR gene, which I have, and autoimmune diseases?
Absolutely. There's going to be no nefarious, because that's the nice thing is these three products, we talked about silver, but the humics and fulvics, this is just your trace minerals. Like there's nothing in here other than your essential trace minerals. So there's nothing in these that can go into the body that can cause a negative response from, the digestive system, immune system, or any of the other systems within the body.
All right. So you have another product that I want to mention briefly, because this is one that is so nefarious on the market, and that is mouthwash. Mouthwash is, I mean, there's a lot of not good mouthwashes that are really not good that are not giving us health. They are taking away the health.
So I don't think of any
love. Yeah.
I don't know of any mouthwashes that you can just take and swallow.
And it tastes so good.
Mm-hmm. So back to what we were talking about earlier, and usually I'll switch around longer. I was just doing that as a demonstration. But when you read mouthwashes, and I've got some here, for instance, you'll see a mouthwash brand, and the first thing it'll say is if you swallow this, contact poison control, right? But you're looking in this, children under 6, if you have painful or swollen gums, loose teeth, all of these different problems, don't use the product. Call your dentist or your healthcare provider immediately. And if swallowed, contact poison control, right? That's your number one leading toothpaste mouthwash brand on the market. This is strictly our silver, right? In a lesser amount, trace minerals, a little bit of xylitol, and peppermint essential oil. So you can swallow this if you'd like to. I do personally, because
I
I'm
don't
like,
want to waste
taking
it.
that silver, why do I want to waste it? Exactly.
I love when you told me that, I was like, this is brilliant. I absolutely love that you can swallow. I'm getting a little extra dose, like when I'm before bed, when I'm brushing my teeth, and it's my extra little dose of silver, and you know, it's all good, and it's leaves your mouth fresh, but you aren't killing the good stuff in your mouth. You know,
Exactly. And it
you're
doesn't harm
containing.
your you know, your oral biome. I'll take this, I'll take a mouthful. I never measure any of this. I'll take a mouthful of this in the shower in the morning. I'll leave it in my mouth and circulate it the entire time I'm in the shower. So 3, 4, 5 minutes. Sometimes I'm a guy, I'm pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then I'll just swallow it when I get out of the shower. So I've got my morning serving of silver, plus I've got you know, a really healthy, happy mouth cavity to start the day as well.
Speaking of, you mentioned the for a few minutes. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, that it basically kills what's on contact within 3 minutes. So that if you were to take some silver and you were swishing it around in your mouth, you keep it in there, you know, if you can, 3 minutes is what's going to kill what's on contact. Is that, am I describing that correctly?
Correct. Yes. Silver will naturally combat bad bacteria in 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
So
And
that's
also, you know, we haven't even mentioned pets, like your kitties. I have my Mabel Rose, my pup, my love of my life, and she gets silver in her water. It's in there every day. It is in there. If she has a boo boo, in fact, she had her little anal glands get full. Too much information, but and so they were a little sore. So I gave her a bath, and I took the gel, and I closed my eyes because it's like, ooh. But I just, you know, on her little, you know, on my puppy's bottom where it was getting kind of raw from her trying to scoot. This was, she didn't even, you know, it soothed her. You know, it was such a good little thing to help heal that little area up. So now I just make it a habit after I bathe her too, is just kind of put that on that whole little area just to help things along.
Well, and one of the problems with our little kitty friends is, and this is my little pal who has to be on my lap all day, every day. Um, but urinary tract infections for cats is a big one, and it costs people thousands of dollars in vet bills. So actually pouring, you know, a cap full of the silver water into the cat's water dish will help with keeping that part of the body safe and secure, as well as just the whole cat's urinary tract, right? And same with the dogs. And like in my house, we've got a bunch of dogs and a bunch of cats, and they all drink out of the same water bowl. They all eat out of the same food dish.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I use the silver every day on the animals, and knock on wood, we don't have any vet bills, and they're all happy and healthy and chasing each other. And you know, the things that they bring into the house, I'm just like, oh my goodness, where did you find that? But you know, they're all healthy.
All right. So you have a probiotic, which I take, and you also have one of my favorite products of all. I'm addicted to them. Actually, I call these our church candy, but they're not candy, but they're like our church treats. It's the structured silver drops. And I
You're,
say that because every time we go to the church, literally we sit down and she's my daughter, her boyfriend, um, and I immediately after we do our opening singing, we'll sit down and we'll get ready for, you know, for the service to begin. And I get my purse and I open up my silver bag and I put out my little and then I pass it along. And so it's like, and if I don't do it, my kids are looking at me like, "Where's the silver?" So talk about the silver drops, because I think those are an ingenious product.
before we do that, can I just hit on the
Oh, of
probiotic?
course, yes.
Okay. So this is the longest lasting probiotic in the digestive system on the market today, which means after 12 hours, it's still 80% alive and effective in the
Now,
digestive system.
hold on. That's a bold statement.
It
That
is.
is a very bold
It's
statement to say.
it's
So,
backed by science, and we've got the reports to show that. The other thing is there was just a study that came out on MB40, which is the blend of pre and probiotics, that's 95% effective at combating staph infections. So there's been this army of people that have gone onto Reddit and looking because they've had that problem with themselves and their children with staph infections. And all of a sudden, our phone just started ringing off the hook. National Institute of Health reached out to us. They're doing a study, independent study right now on this probiotic. but it's really, really making a positive difference in a lot of
So,
people's lives.
so what's kind of the secret? I know you can't give out all your secrets. What's the secret sauce? I mean, there are a ton of probiotics on the market. What's what makes
So
yours
the
different?
best thing I'll say is for anybody, just go Google MB40, and all the science is there, and the research, and there's numerous articles now that are coming out on that. We're one of the only probiotic supplements in the market that has this proprietary blend,
Okay.
and then we enhance that with inulin, slippery elm, fiber, and turmeric. So we're creating a complete digestive product probiotic. So this is a product that we don't pay enough attention to,
Yeah.
but I would say
Yeah.
as far as our customer response goes, is absolutely one of our peak products. And the nice thing is it's gentle on for people that have really serious digestive concerns, and elderly people. Right too, we can use it for young people as well. So this is a product I'm starting to talk about a lot more than I have in the past, and just seeing the science and the studies and the research come out on this has been absolutely amazing.
So that belongs in our, that definitely belongs in our toolbox, in our health and wellness,
Exactly.
because we have
Exactly.
to, again, I had no idea that it also helped with staph infection. I was just
Yeah.
thinking the good bacteria, the bad bacteria, that's kind of the extent. I know it's good for you. And especially if we're taking, if we have to take a round of antibiotics, that we, repopulate that with the,
Exactly. So this is one to pay attention to. Back to your church candies.
yes, I love them.
Our silver lozenges, which
Love.
is as clean of lozenge that we can make from an ingredient deck, and then we infuse those with our silver. So the nice thing is when we were talking a few minutes ago, 2 to 3 minutes for silver to, combat bad bacteria. Having these in the mouth, they'll last 5 or 6 minutes, gives it a long lasting time in the oral cavity, which is also really good at helping with sore throats and that kind of thing. There's a lot of TV personalities and broadcasters and people that need their voice, vocalists and stuff, that we use, that will use this product on a daily basis. One of your good friends, Wayne Allen, right
Mm-hmm.
there in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
the minute that he starts getting low on these, he's texting me, Doug, I need more lozenges. I can't go on the radio without them. And he'll suck back through almost a bag of these a day.
Oh, they're so good.
Um,
So yeah, and if you're, I mean, obviously they're the fact they have silver, they have, they're actually good for you. But I also love, like, if you're going to be out and about in a crowd, again, it's the same thing as like having some of the silver to kind of in the nostril area. To me, it's just that little extra protection, because that filter, your nose is your filter, and everything's going to come in from the nose or from the mouth. So to
exactly.
have that extra protection is lovely. Plus, they're great because the flavor is wonderful. I mean, you've got blueberry and lemon. Yeah,
Blueberry, lemon, and cherry we
and
have.
cherry. Yeah, I don't think I've tried the cherry yet. Let's see. So let me ask you. I think we've gone through most of the products that Ameo Wellness has. I know we have it. We'll have to come back the next time and we'll talk about the Bite Bites. But what else would you put in that foundational toolbox that, like, I would add the vitamin D with K3. What else, if you were going to put together a small little health and wellness that you would, kind of, that you maybe would take every day, or to have in case of, maybe it's an herb, maybe it's a,
I would
um,
do I would do some good herbal teas,
okay.
is what I would do. Cook with lots of garlic as well. Don't be afraid to cook with garlic. Don't be afraid to cook with ginger. Don't be afraid to cook with basil and thyme, and as many of the raw ingredients as we can. And really, when we're thinking about making our meals, we're so lacking in just fresh fruits and vegetables on a
Mhm.
daily basis as well. So a lot of people will say, hey, take this herb, take this supplement, take this, take that. The way I look at it is let's just get ourselves getting the right things into our body every day, but let's look at getting the right nutritious sides of things into our body every day as well, and really making sure that we're incorporating that into our overall lifestyle as well. Herbal teas over coffee. I read a report last night on coffee, and how coffee is further leading to depression and anxiety, and it may feel good in the moment, but what the long-term effects are. So, back to what are these little switches that we can make on a daily basis that are going to enhance our health rather than hindering our health.
Exactly. So it's getting back to that mother nature. Think grandmother. Think those simple but powerful ways of living and being. And
Exactly.
yeah, I love
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. What did life look like before fast food and before, these giant supermarket grocery stores? What did it look like when we used to go to the butcher or go to these different stores and source our food, from the individual specialists in those areas?
Yeah. So I guess what we can say is if we're going to put all this, what we've discussed and kind of put a bow on it, it's, number one, read the label. Don't read any of the marketing stuff that immediately. And that's the number one thing that when I was actively teaching health and wellness, it was like, you have to learn, you have to be your own health advocate. And that number one thing on it, don't ignore everything else on the label, but what are the ingredients? And that's the number one. Less is more. And having, like I said, having the silver, that's to me, this is instead of having like all the different cold medicines and all of those kind of products, it's this. This is
That'll save people a lot of money because you can take about 30 products and boil it into one. And that's where, when you look at our product offering on Ameo Life, like we don't have hundreds of different products. We just have a few of, I'm going to say, the staples of what people need to live a happy and healthy life and keep their body functioning as it should.
And I love the fact that you're even like your skincare products, the things that are on for this, like the soap, they're all silver infused. So they're very thoughtfully. There's not only a theme, but it's the silver. It's good for the outside. It's good for the inside. It is such a powerful. So if you're saying like, look, I feel overwhelmed by all the products out there, I highly suggest take a look. I'll leave a discount code, which I'm not sure what that. I'll leave my discount code below if you guys want to check out any of their products and they obviously you can see you have the best customer support. If there's any issue, concern, Ameo Life they're brilliant with taking care of, and if you're not happy, if you had a question. I mean, I had a million questions when it came to silver because I'd heard all these horror stories. And I tell you, it was like having speed dial. I was asking questions constantly. And Doug never tired of answering them for me. And I know that I have turned your brand on to many friends and family who have said the same thing. And I have to tell you, like the amount of stories that, it's the testimonials of people that have reached out to me that, just from silver alone, that came back and said their health picture had changed. Oh my God, I had this rash on my foot or this fungus that would not go away. Things that I wasn't even aware of. And now it's resolved itself. It is such a beautiful thing. You just don't hear that from so many other kind of products out there. You just don't. So, and I know people don't want to share their, they say testimonials, but that's just a testimonial. But honestly, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. And when you're
And we
taking something, it's a
and we
beautiful
love
thing.
we love hearing it all. We hear the challenges, we hear the success, we hear all of it. And, you know, if anything, we just want to make a difference in people's lives. And, if people are talking to the customer care team, it shouldn't matter if they're talking to me or anybody on the care team. We're all in this together. We all have the same mission and focus every day. And that's just what can we do to better enhance people's lives. And you got to live it. You can't just say it. You got to live it. And that's it.
Exactly. So I think of this kind of like a prophylactic of life. Obviously, if you're not feeling well, you can take it. But if you're doing the few things that you do every day, it should be there to help prevent. It's so much easier. Trust me, and we all have had this experience. It's so much easier to stay healthy, to keep our immune system strong, so that we can better. I mean, we're meant. We will get sick, but we're meant to have it for a day and fight it and move it. When the system's working properly, we can take it we can battle the sickness quickly and move on. And so I'm of a firm believer, especially if we can have, a core amount of products and a way of living that supports our health, that keeps us strong, it is so much easier to stay in that space and to spend the money. I say you pay now or pay later. It's like going to McDonald's. You say, oh, you go to McDonald's because it's cheap. It's not cheap anymore, but back in the day, it used to be, cheap to go. But I'd say you pay now or pay later because you're cheap now, but you're sick later, and your healthcare. So there has to be at some point that we put a price on preventative, of just doing, spending a little bit of money and keeping ourselves strong and healthy foundationally, so that we don't have, when we aren't facing those huge hurdles of sickness that come, that our body is better prepared when something like that happens.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. So, Doug, this is great. We could go on, and we've been on for almost an hour and a half now. But I'm going to leave. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And if I don't have the answer when it comes to anything health and wellness and Ameo Life, I'm happy to answer. Like I said, I am a product of the product. I've been taking the product now for, I want to say about 4 years, maybe even a little bit longer.
I think it's probably even been longer, to be honest. I think it might be 6.
Yeah,
Time flies when
been
we're having fun.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a product that I'm proud of. I actually have the 1 gallon or the largest gallon you have is a 1 or 2 gallon pump on my kitchen counter. That's what we all use. And it's like, I invite anyone that's coming over. It's like, here, have some silver. My daughters came back from Germany, and her boyfriend, the first thing I said when they walked in the door after their long flight, get some silver.
Love it.
Because it's I've shipped this to Germany because my daughter's there and it wasn't available. That's how much I believe in your brand and your product and what you stand for. I'll just say, plug for, pricing is so fair. It's not, you're not spending money on your marketing. The money that's being spent is on the product itself, and I appreciate that and love it so much. So you guys, like I said, I'll leave a discount code if you're interested, and I'll put a link in. I have a link in my bio for Ameo Life, and this has been a pleasure. Like I said, anything? What else would you like to leave us with, Doug? What else? Any last minute nuggets, and where can people find you?
They can find us at ameolife.com, ameolife.com. We look forward to helping you. Come at us with your questions, and we're just here as your champion to wellness. And hopefully we can do this again soon, Vanessa, because there's never-ending subjects that you and I always can find to talk about.
I can't wait. You're right. There's so many things I would love to dive into. And speaking of health and wellness, I'm going to get my first, after like 20 years. I had one other session. I'm having my first Rolfing session. My guy's coming at 3:00. I can't wait to get worked on Rolfing, which is a whole other subject. But all right. Well, Doug,
we'll talk soon. Thank you.
And you guys, thank you all so much for joining. And like I said, I'll leave the discount code and link below so you guys can explore more about Ameo Wellness. Okay. All right. Take care. Bye, everyone. Till next time.